There is nothing like video to show your stakeholders, your elected officials, and your taxpayers what your agency does for the community you serve. Whether it's a breaking incident like a multi-car crash and fire, the ongoing response to the COVID-19 outbreak, or those times where you made a difference in someone's life. Video accounts for 80% of all internet traffic. People watch millions of hours of video on their laptops, desktops, and phones. Video helps you tell your story and drives engagement with your community. And in these days of shrinking staffs at local media outlets, your video may just end up on the evening news. Hi, I'm Rhonda Schulting, Public Information Officer for West Metro Fire Rescue, located in the Denver, Colorado area. Before I was the PIO here, I spent more than 20 years in television news as a reporter, anchor, and producer, and 10 years working as a corporate public relations manager. In the next half hour, I'm going to show you what you need to create video for your agency. We'll talk about camera equipment, editing software, and smartphone apps. We'll also spend time on simple shooting techniques and how to come up with video content. Sometimes that's one of the most difficult things. So let's get started with the basics. Equipment. And while you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on gear, the best camera for you just might be the one that's in your hand. If you have a newer smartphone, you really don't need an expensive camera to start making video. This is an iPhone 11. It shoots in HD and in 4K. Download a couple of apps and you can shoot, edit, and upload video to social media all from your phone. In fact, when I started here at West Metro, all I had was a smartphone for the first couple of months, and I was able to put together some really good content. Next, what you need is an external microphone and the correct microphone adapter for your phone. An external microphone will give you better sound than the microphone on your smartphone. Why? Well, simply because you can get the microphone closer to the source of sound, like right here. This is what I sound like with an external microphone, and this is what I sound like with the microphone on the iPhone. Obviously, there's a lot of difference in the audio quality. And also, if you could imagine if it was really noisy in this equipment bay, you probably couldn't hear me at all. So an external microphone really is a must. Now, like any equipment, you can find a wide range of microphone models and prices. I'd get a wireless microphone, which keeps your interview subject from being tethered to the camera, or in this case, your phone. The microphone I use is a Sennheiser. It's what TV news crews use, and it's on the expensive side, about $600, but it is reliable and very durable. Now, here's a less expensive model. It's made by Asden. It's around $160. I've used one like this, and it was a reliable, decent microphone. Another option is a Bluetooth microphone like this one. I've not used this one, but a coworker has, and she says it works really well. Don't worry, I am including an equipment list with this video. Now, connecting the microphone to your phone might be really easy depending on the model, or it may not be. Many microphones don't work right out of the box with smartphones. What you need is a TRRS adapter, which will tell your smartphone that it's a microphone you're plugging in and not headphones. The easiest way, quite frankly, to figure out what you need is to Google it. What you need for an iPhone is probably different than what you need for an Android. Next, you'll need a cell phone holder with a cold shoe. It's to basically hold your phone on a tripod. The cold shoe is a slot where you can slide your wireless microphone receiver. It's called a cold shoe because there is no power going to it. You really don't need power because your microphone runs on batteries. Now the tripod. There's a wide range of styles and prices. I personally don't like the tripods that have spreader arms on the inside. Some people do though. The key here is to get one that will hold your cell phone steady. If you're thinking about upgrading from a cell phone to a camera at any time, you might need to check the weight limitations to make sure the tripod will hold the weight of the camera. If you can afford just one tripod, I might suggest that you get a travel tripod. Travel tripods fold up next to nothing, and they are very lightweight. Of course, that means they may not be rock steady on very windy days, but they're extremely easy to pack and carry. And get one that has lever releases on the legs. It's quicker and easier to set up. Another thing is to make sure that it's tall enough to put the camera close to eye level for interviews. We'll talk about why that's important in a few minutes. And the last piece of equipment, headphones, to make sure that you're getting good audio. Whatever you buy, always check the reviews and the specs so you know what you're getting. I bought most of what I have from B&H Photo online and also from Amazon. Now, if you have plenty of money to spend, you can find dozens and dozens of camera options. Welcome to my garage and the back of my truck, which is basically a small video production studio. You know, earlier we were talking about smartphones and how good they are for shooting video. I use mine a lot to shoot video and also pictures at breaking incidents, say like structure fires or things like that, to upload directly to social media. But the camera that I use the most is this one. It is a Sony PXW Z90. It's basically a small consumer camcorder. It looks like a mini news camera, you could say. I really like this camera because it shoots in 4K. And one other really great feature it has is peaking. Basically, it's a focus assist mode, which will show you what areas of your picture are in focus, either outlined in red or yellow or white. So it's really good to have, even though this has really good autofocus. One other reason I really like this camera is that I am a full auto shooter, which means totally autofocus and totally auto iris. I find this works really well when I don't have to stop to make sure my picture is in focus when I'm chasing firefighters around, either on the training ground or at incidents. Autofocus, auto iris, full auto, honestly, is the way I shoot and the way I get, honestly, really good video. This camera retails for about $2,600, but if you add an extra battery and also the shotgun mic here on top, it's around $3,000 approximately. Another camera you might want to consider has a much lower price point. This is the Sony FDR AX53. It also shoots in 4K. Obviously a much smaller camera, but it has really good autofocus, really good stabilization, and a nice zoom on it. You can add an external microphone here on top. It retails for $850, so obviously a much lower price point than the other Sony that I was just showing you. This is a good camera, and again, it shoots in 4K, which is very important in your editing process. A lot of people are now shooting with DSLRs, basically still cameras that also shoot video, and I have one of those. It is a Canon EOS R. This is a really nice camera. Retails for around $2,600 with a lens. It shoots in 4K or in HD, and you can see that I have the Sennheiser microphone on top that we talked about earlier. I really only use this camera to shoot interviews or maybe video for image videos that I do for West Metro. I think it works better on a tripod, quite frankly, and I could not imagine chasing firefighters with this camera just because it doesn't have a top handle and it just seems a little bit unwieldy. Now, it is possible for accessories that you could buy what they call a cage, which you basically place around the camera that allows you to have handles, but with the viewfinder kind of placed here in the back, you know, it's just not something that I could see myself shooting B-roll with. Another camera that I use quite a lot, and actually I have quite a few of them, is a GoPro. These are really handy for getting action. You can put these on front of a fire engine, you can put them inside of a fire engine, you can put them on somebody's helmet, you can put them on their radio strap. It gets a lot of close-up action that you really can't get with another camera. I also take these into the burn building at our training center, and even at 300 or 400 degrees at the floor, which is usually where I am observing what's going on, I've had absolutely no problem with these things overheating. And one of the really big advantages to this is the screen on the back. You can see the shot you're getting and know for sure that you're getting the video you want. Another thing that's really handy to have are accessories, and especially small tripods, and I have a number of those that I've purchased from either Amazon or B&H Photo. These are really good for staging GoPros or even your iPhone in areas. Wrap these things around poles. They're very flexible. Really good things to have in order to place cameras in positions where you can't easily get with another camera. Obviously, I have a lot of equipment that you may or may not have in your budget. But remember earlier we talked about smartphones. That is really all you need. Your smartphone and a few accessories will allow you to shoot really good social media video. The bottom line is you can have the most expensive camera equipment in the world and still get crappy video because you don't know what you're doing. So here are a few shooting tips. If you're shooting with your smartphone, never shoot vertical video. Why? Because this is not your television. This is your TV. You want your video to have a variety of uses, not just for your social media, but you're hoping that the real media will pick up your video and use it. If you shoot vertically, TV stations will have to do something to fill in the rest of the 16:9 frame. You've all seen it, those blurry sides on the side of the video. It really doesn't look good, and it's another step for media to perform before they can use your video. Make it easier for them. Shoot horizontally. I think it looks better. It looks better on Facebook. It looks better on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, which allows you to post a 16:9 video. And no matter how big your social media following, it's likely local TV and print media have more viewers and more readers than you do. So you can reach more people by making your video easy for media to use. And then here's another reason. You've seen plenty of vertical video where the person shooting is panning constantly from side to side to get the action. It's really disorienting. And you think about it, when you shoot vertically, you're really only getting a slice of the action. If you turn it horizontally, you will get more action happening, probably a lot less panning, and it will look much better for the viewer. Now, setting up for an interview. Since you're shooting in 16:9 frame, use the frame to invite in the viewer. Put your interview subject either to the right or the left of the frame. The empty part of the frame leaves room for the viewer to come in and listen. Also, when you frame the shot this way, you can do much more with the interview and editing, such as putting in graphics on one side to highlight important points, or if it's a long interview, you can move the person around in the frame so they're not always in one place. Or say you don't have much B-roll and you need to keep the interview on screen for an extended period of time. You can cut between different takes by reframing from a wider shot to a tighter shot. When shooting an interview, I usually shoot loose so that I have plenty of room to move the person around. And since I'm usually the camera person and asking the questions, I can keep the interviewee in frame in case they move during the shoot. You'd be surprised how many people move around when they talk. You should always shoot interviews on a tripod, and your tripod should be set as close as possible to eye level. This makes the person look like a contemporary to the viewer. Do not shoot up at the interviewee or shoot down. Anyone who's had a film class in college can tell you that shooting up at someone makes them look larger than life, with the perception that they're looking down on the viewer. This is a still from Citizen Kane. And if you shoot down at someone, that makes them seem smaller and consequential, like this still from The Avengers. You want your interview subject on the same level as the viewer. When doing an interview, make sure you dress the microphone like I have here. Basically, you hide it under their clothing. It makes the microphone less obvious and it looks more professional. Not dressing the mic and having the cord just kind of hanging out for everyone to see makes your video look amateur. During the interview, try not to ask yes or no questions. Ask open-ended questions. If I'm doing a video on training, I have the person begin with a simple, quick description of what's going on. Like, today, we're doing search drills and how to rescue a victim from a burning structure. Then we talk about the techniques, how we train, and most importantly, why we train. That's where you get in your agency's message on how and why what you're doing serves the community. Shooting B-roll. B-roll is basically the action footage that you add to the interview. If you watch TV news, you'll get an idea of how they shoot B-roll. Often it's a wide establishing shot, a medium shot, and a tight shot. Those are the basics. Now, while you should be on a tripod for the interview, shooting B-roll is where I would get off the tripod. You need to be able to shoot and move. Shoot some wide shots from the tripod first, but then get closer to what's going on. If you have a good zoom lens on the camera, great, but a zoom lens doesn't give you the same perspective as a video shot where you're right on top of what's happening. If I'm shooting a training, for example, I will watch it first to see how the crews move through it, how they get from point A to point B. If there's a place to put GoPros along the path they take, I'll put them there so I can get different angles while I use another camera to shoot the main shot. The key to good B-roll is shooting sequences and natural sound. A sequence is basically the steps taken to do a task. In the case of a firefighter, for example, arriving on a call, get out of the fire engine, grab the fire hose, hook up to a hydrant, and then flow water on the fire. While you could shoot that all in one long shot, the more interesting way to do it is to shoot each step independently, a sequence, and then edit them together. Here are a couple of examples of sequences.
All right, here we go. Tower 2, engine 16, medic 10, engine 8. Respond to a car into a truck, fuel leaking on the ground, Kipling and Hamden.
For our multi-company drills throughout June and July, we're doing Class B fires with foam application techniques. We looked at pre-planning what kind of incidents could we have in our district. One of those we recognized was cars or truck accidents on the freeways and interstate causing a leakage of fuel and then a fire. We call that a Class B fire. To extinguish that, we use foam.
This is a 3-story parking garage, and it has collapsed due to an earthquake. There's multiple parties trapped in vehicles.
The information that we were given was possible victims inside the structure and that it was not safe to go into the structure, so we used canines to work and clear if there's any live victims still inside that we would need to work to rescue.
This is the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center. It's a 1,000-acre disaster town located south of Indianapolis.
There's a car right here,
Okay.
and so you can actually stand and walk around back in here.
A lot of these go back to the earthquake experiences we've had in our own country and what we've seen across the world. And we have tried duplicating as best as we can and creating a situation that exposes our rescuers, which they've been trained to how to deal with these. Now they're just putting all the pieces together.
Now, in those sequences, you heard the sound of what was going on. TV news people call it natural sound, and it can really make a video. I hardly ever use music in any video I do. I think it's a cheap way out unless the music has a real purpose. I use music in image videos. Here's an example. I like natural sound the best. It takes the viewer to where the video was shot, what was happening. It makes it real. Here's how natural sound can drive a video.
You got your straight line coming out. You got 3 lanes, 1, 2, and 3.
We're teaching the recruits how to drive.
One of 3 colors, or all 3 colors, depends. Red, yellow, or green.
Driving a medic is very different than driving your car. The average car weighs about half of what an ambulance weighs. This ambulance next to us weighs right around 13,000 pounds. That is about twice even what my full-size truck weighs. A lot of that weight is up very high. It's got a wide footprint. It has a lot of body roll when you drive it. So the recruits have to practice driving at high speeds, turning corners, and finding the limitations of both the vehicle and their own personal abilities.
All right, next up.
The instructors really wanted us to go beyond our limits, just past that point of comfort, and get an idea of what it's like to be at a high speed situation, have to come to a stop or have to come to a quick right turn and make a move. And I think we all successfully got just past that point to get past that level of being uncomfortable to get comfortable again with what this machine's able to do and our medics are able to do.
The lane change scenario is set up to be like a typical intersection. The length of track they have to make a decision is 65 feet. 65 feet is the average intersection for a 4-lane road.
There's not much time at all, especially as you get up to higher speeds. Obviously, you're going to have less reaction time.
Wow! We teach them to practice going left, maybe into oncoming traffic, but maybe the safest, clearest lane, or maybe right. So we give them options during that training to hit every single lane. Some of them we give them a green light, which means stay on the gas or even speed up. Sometimes we give them a yellow light, which means slow down and pick this lane. And sometimes they get a straight up 3 red lights, which is stop as fast as you can.
That is one thing that they tell you, that there will be people out there that don't know how to react to an emergency vehicle, and as you know, that's one of the things that in your mind you're always thinking about, all of those unknowns that may come across your path, and be prepared for them before you even enter that situation.
The be-all, end-all is to hopefully get them through an entire career without ever getting in an accident, driving emergent, driving non-emergent, driving their own personal vehicles. We are supposed to be professionals in our job. We're professional firefighters, we're professional paramedics. I believe our expectation should be that we are also professional drivers.
Once you have your video, then comes editing. If it's a quick video on my phone, I use iMovie. It has quite a few features and is easy to use, and you can upload directly to social media. There are editing apps for Android phones as well. For longer videos, I use Final Cut Pro. It's an Apple product. It costs $300 and works only on Macs. Buy it, a one-time price, and it's yours forever with free upgrades. For those with PCs, DaVinci Resolve is a possibility. It's free, and people I've talked to say it's got quite a few features. There's also Adobe Premiere Pro, which works with Macs and PCs, but that's a monthly fee, and when you quit paying, that editing system goes away. There are several other editing platforms, some good, some not so good. If you're looking for one, talk to people you know who edit video and check out the reviews. See if you can get a free trial. That's pretty important. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube for just about every editing software, so you can really teach yourself how to edit. All nonlinear editing works basically the same no matter what you're using. You create a library to upload your video, create a project, and then edit on a timeline. In Final Cut, you can add several different layers of video and sound, and there are dozens of effects that come with it. If you're just beginning, I would start with editing the interview, also commonly known as the A-roll, and then finding places to put your B-roll. Now, you may have noticed that all my cameras shoot in 4K. There are a couple of reasons for that. One, I think it looks better. The colors are richer and the picture looks nicer. The other thing, it can be your savior. With 4K video, I can take a shot and turn it into 3 or 4 different shots by reframing and zooming in when I'm editing. With 4K video, there's little loss of resolution. It's come in quite handy if I find myself needing a couple of more shots for a video. The downside is that it takes up more room. The files are bigger. Now, for editing, you'll also want to get an external hard drive. Your computer, no matter how big the drive, will get bogged down quickly when you are editing. An external drive helps you manage all the media without bogging down. I use drives that are high speed at 7,200 RPM. One question that always comes up is, how long should the video be? Well, they used to say the shorter the better. Now Facebook says it's promoting videos that are longer than 3 minutes. I'm not sure if I've noticed a difference in engagement when I have longer videos. But basically, I make a video as long as I want it to be, or as long as it's interesting to watch. I create videos to not only feed social media here at West Metro, but as a record for my agency, also to promote a message. It's great if a video goes viral, but I never have any preconceived idea in mind when I post it. And speaking of posting, you should make your videos 508 compliant, which is they should have captioning so they're accessible to your audience. Facebook will generate automatic captions and so will YouTube, and you can go in and make corrections if needed, which most of the time they are. I use a captioning service for most of my videos. It's rev.com. It costs $1.25 a minute, but the captioning is usually spot on, and it's just one more thing that I don't have to do myself because I'm a one-person PIO shop. Also, when posting on Facebook, I would do it with Chrome. The Chrome interface allows you to pick a specific frame for a thumbnail and upload the captioning file. And make sure to put in video titles and keywords to boost the SEO. Also do that on YouTube. Phone apps. I mentioned iMovie. I also have Filmic Pro on my phone, which is great because you can see audio levels when you're shooting video. I have an app called Video to Photo, which will capture stills from video, and Pixaloop. It's a cool app that I've been using quite a bit lately. It will take a still photo and animate it. Here are a couple of examples. The free version has some variety, but to get all of the fun things, it costs $60, but I think it's worth it. Last but not least, let's talk about content. You can do videos about anything, really. Of course, it helps if it's visual. I'm lucky in that there's usually something going on here at the training center almost every day that would make a good video. And we have real incidents like structure fires, wildland fires, technical rescues, water rescues. More often, my videos are firefighters doing training. And because we're fire rescue with that EMS component, we have patient success stories. And of course, we have people on staff who volunteer in their spare time or have a cause that they're passionate about. I do a series called Learn the Lingo, where I take a firefighter term and define it. And I just started a series featuring recipes that's called Firehouse Fixins. I also do station tour videos and apparatus tour videos, and once in a while, sneak in a fire prevention video. And I do a regular update where I appear on camera and talk about some recent calls or recent trainings at West Metro. The most popular social media video that I ever did was on a drill that we do every recruit academy, featuring a stairwell full of bubbles. So far, it's had more than 1.5 million views with over 20,000 shares and 40,000 likes or comments. Obviously a very visual and unusual video. My video is often shown here in the local news in Denver and also on national news. Take advantage of the fact that as a PIO, you have access to what the media does not. Shoot the video and provide it to media if you can. That helps build relationships. Your agency, of course, may be much different in what you have going on and what you as a PIO are allowed to put out to the public. I often look at what other fire districts are doing for ideas. For law enforcement agency PIOs, if you have training to talk about, if you have safety messages, and you have your people to feature, do a profile, for example, on someone about why they became an officer or a deputy and what they get out of serving their community. I usually try to have at least one new produced video a week, and most of the time I hit that goal, but sometimes I don't. It's just a goal that I shoot for. And if you're just starting out, do what you can comfortably do with all the other things you have on your plate. Take your message to your community, tell them what your agency does for the people you serve. Whatever effort you put into video will pay off either on your own social media sites or in increased news coverage. There's so much more we could cover, but it's just not enough time. So if you have questions, please reach out to me. My email is rschulting@westmetrofire.org, or you can give me a call at 303-941-8317. And I'm also open to coming out and doing one-on-one trainings if possible, or virtual trainings, and I can also consult with you about what equipment you need and even story ideas. So just reach out and give me a call or send me an email.